Hey there and welcome. Did you know that almost everything you read is secretly an argument? Yep, from a massive legal document to that quick email you just sent. So today, we're going to put on our hard hats. We're going to become architects of persuasion. We're not just building arguments, we're building arguments that are rock solid.
So what's the secret sauce? What makes one argument totally convincing while another one just falls flat? Well, it's not magic, I can tell you that. It all comes down to the structure. And in this explainer, we're literally handing you the blueprint. By the end, you'll know how to build your own powerful arguments and, just as importantly, how to take apart anyone else's.
Okay, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with why this stuff even matters. Then, we'll get into the essential building blocks. After that, we'll uncover the secret connections, beef things up a bit, and finally, we'll look at the whole blueprint from start to finish.
All right, first things first. Let's get one thing straight. This is about way more than just winning a debate or sounding smart at a party. Seriously, knowing how to handle an argument is a core skill for, just navigating life today.
I mean, just think about it for a second. If you're in school, pretty much every paper you write is an argument. As a citizen, the arguments you hear shape the laws and policies that impact your everyday life. And your career? Oh yeah. Whether you're a scientist trying to get funding or a manager pitching a new idea, your success really hinges on how well you can make your case. It is an absolutely universal tool.
Okay, time to get to work. Let's start building this thing. Every solid building needs a solid foundation, right? Well, an argument is exactly the same. And what we're about to cover, these are the absolute, non-negotiable, must-have parts. First up is the claim. You can think of this as your thesis, your main point. It's the whole reason you're building this thing in the first place. It's like the roof of the house that everything else is meant to support. But here's the key. It can't just be a fact. It has to be debatable, something that people could actually argue about.
See? This isn't like saying, the sky is blue. Nobody's going to argue with that. This is a real position. You could totally argue for it, or you could argue against it. And that's exactly what you want in a strong claim.
Okay, so if the claim is the roof of our building, then the reasons, those are the big, strong pillars holding that roof up. They're the answer to the big question. Okay, so why should I believe you? If your reasons are weak, that whole roof is coming crashing down.
Here's a perfect example. Our claim is that higher ed is crucial for a democracy. So this reason that it increases civic participation is a direct pillar holding that claim up. It creates a clear link, right? But even the strongest pillars are useless if they're not built on a solid foundation.
And that brings us to the bedrock, the evidence. This is the concrete reporting for our foundation. We're talking hard data, expert opinions, cold, hard facts, specific examples, all the stuff that proves our reasons aren't just hot air. Without good evidence, your reasons are just opinions, and your whole argument, it's basically a sandcastle waiting for the tide to come in.
All right, so we've got our roof, the claim. We've got our pillars, the reasons. And we've got our foundation, the evidence. But there's something else, a kind of invisible mortar that holds all the bricks together. And learning to spot this? Oh man, that's the real key to mastering this stuff.
Let's look at an example. Here's a simple claim. Pretty straightforward, right? We're just saying we should fund public universities.
And here's the reason we're giving. Because education leads to more civic participation. But wait a minute. Look closely at those two sentences. Do you see the gap? There's a piece of the puzzle missing here.
This is the big question. What's the hidden link? What's the assumption that connects A to B, that connects funding universities with the idea that civic participation is a good thing? Just take a second. What are we just assuming is true here?
And there it is. It's called the warrant. The warrant is that unspoken belief, that shared assumption that the audience has to agree with for the logic to work. In our case, the warrant is that civic participation is in fact a good and valuable thing for society. Being able to spot these hidden warrants, that's like a critical thinking superpower. It's how you find the weak spots in someone else's argument.
So, what happens if someone calls you out on your warrant? What if they say, I'm not so sure civic participation is all that important? Well, that's where backing comes into play. Backing is the evidence you use to support your warrant. So you might pull out studies that prove societies with more active citizens are healthier, more stable, and so on. It's like building a foundation for your foundation. Okay, a basic argument is fine, but a great argument is like a skyscraper built to withstand an earthquake. It anticipates challenges, so let's talk about how to add some steel reinforcements and make our arguments really, truly tough.
Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but addressing the other side isn't a weakness. It's a huge sign of confidence. You can make a concession, which is where you admit the other side has a fair point. Something like, I'll admit this plan does have some high upfront costs. That makes you seem reasonable. Or you can use a refutation, where you actively prove why an opposing argument is wrong. When you do this, your argument goes from just being strong to being practically airtight.
And here's another pro tip for making your argument stronger. Use qualifiers. These are words like likely, often, or in most cases. It might feel like you're weakening your point, but you're actually doing the opposite. You're being precise and honest. It stops you from making these huge, sweeping generalizations, and it makes your argument way harder to poke holes in. It just shows you're a careful and credible thinker.
Okay, we've got all our parts. We've learned the advanced construction techniques. Now it's time to put it all together. Let's look at the complete architectural blueprint that you can use for any argument you want to build.
And here it is, the Toolman model of argument. This is the whole shebang. It lays out every single element we've talked about. You've got your claim, which is your main position. The grounds, that's just the fancy term for all your reasons and evidence. The warrant is that crucial link with backing ready to support it. The qualifier adds that layer of precision, and the rebuttal, that's how you handle the counterarguments. This is the professional-grade blueprint for persuasion.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, you've now got a powerful new toolkit. From now on, whether you're reading an opinion piece or writing a proposal for work, you can use these questions to see how it's all put together. This is the shift right here. It's how you go from just passively taking in information to being a truly active, critical thinker.
Because in the end, a really persuasive argument isn't just about shouting that you're right. It's about carefully building a structure, one that balances logic and evidence, confidence, and, well, a little intellectual humility. It shows you've really engaged with the topic. So I guess the only question left is, what are you going to build?